I still remember the smell of that steak, buttery, sizzling, seasoned with rosemary and arrogance. It wasn't just dinner that night. It was the moment everything changed. My name is Emily. I'm 34, married to Daniel, the so-called golden son of a family that treats kindness like it's currency you have to earn. For years, I tried to be polite, warm, and understanding. I tried to be the perfect daughter-in-law. But that night, sitting at my mother-in-law's glossy mahogany table with an empty plate while everyone else cut into their steaks, that's when something in me snapped. The dinner that broke me. It was supposed to be a family dinner to celebrate my husband's promotion. His mother, Gloria, had invited everyone, Daniel's 2 sisters, their husbands, her church friends, even her neighbor. I'd spent the whole day helping decorate the dining room, setting up candles, polishing glasses. Gloria wanted everything perfect for her son's big night. I thought I was included in that perfect. Dinner started beautifully. Gloria came out of the kitchen, balancing trays of steaks, thick, juicy, cooked medium rare just the way Daniel likes them. She smiled at him like he was her king returning from war. Then she handed out plates. One for Daniel. One for his sisters. One for their husbands. Even the neighbor got one. And me? She skipped me. Just walked past my seat like I was invisible. I laughed awkwardly, thinking maybe she forgot. But when I gently said, "Oh, Gloria, I think you missed me," she turned to me with that sweet, venomous smile of hers and said, "Oh, Emily. I didn't think you'd want steak. You're always watching your figure." The table went silent. Then Daniel chuckled, nervously. His sisters smirked into their plates. I could feel the blood rising in my cheeks, but I stayed calm. "That's fine," I said softly. "What did you make for me?" Gloria looked at me like she was doing me a favor. "Oh, I didn't make a separate dish, dear. There's salad in the fridge. Help yourself." I wanted to disappear. But I didn't. I sat there, smiling through the humiliation, as everyone else cut into their steaks. I could hear the scrape of knives, the chatter of Gloria's compliments to everyone but me. When dessert came, her famous molten chocolate cake, she served it with ice cream and caramel drizzle. Again, to everyone. Except me. "Oh, you don't like sweets, right, Emily?" she said, her voice dripping with fake innocence. "You always say you're trying to stay disciplined." That's when I realized this wasn't forgetfulness. This was a message. And I got it loud and clear. Daniel didn't say much. He knew I was upset, he could feel it, but he pretended not to notice. That's what he always did when his mother humiliated me. He'd say things like, "You know how she is," or, "Don't make a big deal out of it." So I stayed quiet too. But my silence that night wasn't defeat. It was planning. This wasn't the first time Gloria had drawn her invisible line. It started years ago, little things that seemed harmless at first. When Daniel and I got married, she told me, "Just remember, dear, Daniel has certain expectations. He likes his shirts ironed the way I do them." When we bought our first house, she criticized the neighborhood. "Too far from church. You'll drift away from family." She'd accidentally forget to invite me to family brunches. Once, she even sent out a group text, "Everyone got it except me." And Daniel? He always made excuses. "She means well. She's just old-fashioned. She doesn't realize how it sounds." But she did realize. Gloria was a master manipulator. The kind who played the victim while twisting everyone else's perception until you started doubting your own reality. That night after the steak dinner, I stopped doubting. I didn't want to yell. I didn't want to fight. I wanted something better. Something she'd never see coming. So I decided I'd beat her at her own game, using grace, charm, and patience. A slow burn revenge. First, I studied her. Every Sunday at church, I noticed how she prided herself on her image. She was the pillar of the community, always hosting charity dinners, Bible study meetings, and ladies' luncheons. Her identity revolved around being admired, being seen as perfect. So I decided to make that my weapon. For weeks, I acted sweeter than ever. I complimented her cooking. I volunteered to help her host her next church luncheon. She loved it, couldn't resist the flattery. Finally, she told her friends, Emily's learning how to be part of the family. Inside, I smiled. Because I wasn't just learning, I was gathering information. I found out Gloria's biggest event of the year was her Hearts VE Hope charity banquet. She hosted it every spring, a lavish dinner with the mayor, church elders, and her prized social circle. Everything about her reputation depended on that night. So I decided that's where I'd make my move. 2 months before the banquet, Gloria asked me to handle the digital invites, since you're good with computers, dear. Perfect. I set up the invitations just like she wanted, except for one small change. On every guest's invitation, I added a little note. Dress code, formal, hosted at Daniel and Emily's residence this year for a change. Gloria's idea to honor her son's home. Gloria had no idea. The banquet was supposed to be at her house, not ours. But when her guests showed up at my doorstep 2 months later, all dressed to impress, she nearly fainted. I acted shocked, of course. Oh, Gloria. I said sweetly in front of everyone. You didn't tell me they were coming tonight. Her face turned red as she stammered, There must be a mistake. But the guests were already inside, complimenting my decor, my food, my warmth. I'd spent weeks preparing, cooking dishes she always bragged about making better than me. Except mine turned out perfect. Steak, tender, juicy, rosemary butter dripping. Desserts, molten chocolate cake with caramel drizzle. The same menu Shed once served to everyone except me. I made sure everyone got a plate. Except her. When it came time to serve Gloria, I smiled sweetly and said, Oh, Gloria, I didn't think you'd want steak. You're always watching your figure. The room went silent, exactly like it had that night months ago. Daniel's sisters froze. The neighbor looked away. Even Daniel couldn't hide his smirk. Gloria's hands trembled as she whispered, How dare you? But before she could explode, the pastor's wife spoke up, Oh, Gloria, she's just teasing. You're always telling us about your diet. Laughter filled the room. Gloria forced a smile, humiliated in front of her entire circle. ID mirrored her cruelty, word for word, and made it look like innocent banter. Revenge, served rare. After dinner, as everyone raved about the food, Gloria excused herself to the kitchen, shaking with rage. I followed her quietly. You think this makes you clever? She hissed. I smiled. No, Gloria. It makes me patient. She slammed her hands on the counter. You embarrassed me in front of my friends. I tilted my head. Funny. I remember feeling the same way. Over dinner. Her eyes widened, realization dawning. You did this on purpose, she whispered. Yes, I said softly. Because you taught me that family dinners are about respect. And you've been starving me of that for years. For once, she had no words. The fallout was quiet, exactly how I wanted it. The next Sunday, her church friends kept praising me for hosting such a beautiful evening. The pastor even suggested I help organize next year's banquet. Gloria tried to take credit, of course, saying she mentored me. But everyone had seen her meltdown. They'd seen the cracks in her perfect image. Daniel, to his credit, finally stood up for me. He told her, Mom, you've treated Emily terribly. It ends now. It was the first time I'd seen her speechless, not from rage, but from shame. Things changed after that night. Gloria became quiet. Still judgmental in her way, but cautious. She'd invite me to dinner and actually make sure I had a plate, usually the biggest one. Daniel and I grew stronger too. He said watching me handle his mother, without screaming or losing control, taught him what strength really looks like. And sometimes, when I'm cooking dinner, I catch him grinning. What? I ask. He laughs. Just remembering that night you served her a taste of her own medicine. I smile, flipping the steak in the pan. Best meal I ever made. But hey, Race, what no one knows. A few months ago, Gloria pulled me aside. She looked older, smaller somehow. Her voice trembled. Emily, she said, I was cruel to you. I know that now. You remind me of myself when I was young, only you're stronger. That almost broke me. For the first time, I saw not the monster, but the insecure woman behind her armor. Someone who needed control because she'd never been respected otherwise. I nodded and said, apology accepted, Gloria. But I didn't forgive her for that dinner. Because sometimes, forgiveness isn't about erasing what happened, it's about remembering it so you never let it happen again. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But sometimes it's better hot, sizzling, and seasoned with silence. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. When they show you how little they value your presence, make them feel your absence. Not by walking away, but by rising so high, they have to look up to see you. My mother-in-law taught me that not every insult needs a reply. Some deserve a strategy. And when I served her that night, I wasn't just returning humiliation, I was reclaiming my dignity.